I'm in the midst of a blog redesign, and here's how the redesign looks right now. You can see I've got some features here where you can show or hide color, you can round the UI, play audio, change the button color, change the background to whatever you want it to be. You can even hide certain sections if you never want to see them. So all this is what I've been working on, but as I've been doing this, I've recognized that there's just a lot of small little use cases where it's easy to overlook things, and so I thought it'd be helpful to put out a little survey to ask people to send in their sites, and I'm doing this primarily so I can learn and kind of think through things that I wouldn't have thought of, but I also obviously want to offer some constructive criticism. Now, it's very possible that a lot of these people are way better at web development than I am, so this is not so much a critical look as it is like, let's all look together at any sites and just kind of see some things we can work on. Now, we're going to focus on three things primarily. That's accessibility, HTML details, and kind of basic UX, and then also some basic SEO stuff. Now, one thing quickly I want to mention is just that if you would like to help me with my blog, I'll leave a link in the description to where it currently stands. And if you find anything that needs to be changed, you can email me or you can leave a comment here on this video. And eventually, once I get the blog up, I will switch it out for the final link, which will be chrispennington.blog. All right, you ready? Let's jump in. Hey, what's up? My name is Chris, and welcome to Coding in Public. We're going to walk through about 7 or 8 sites, I think, and just briefly look at them for probably a minute or two. And my goal really is to just kind of point out some key things that I've run into as I've redone this blog and just as I've been doing web dev. Now, a lot of these people are probably way better than I am at programming and at web development in particular, so this isn't so much a criticism. It's just like, hey, let's talk through a site, and there's tons of little things that it's easy to forget. So I haven't looked at these ahead of time, so we're just going to kind of go through it live. I'll probably spend a minute or two on each site, so we'll go pretty quickly and just point out kind of common things that I see. And I'll mostly focus on things that can be improved because that's kind of the point of doing this video. And obviously, if I see things I like, I'll point those out as well. Now, I love the color scheme to this site to start with, so I love that. Let's see, it looks like you've got these little interactions. A side note, probably I wouldn't have animation unless you can click, because I thought I could click on these. So that's just a side note. And here, see, I can't click on this. Can I click on this? No. So yeah, so these are links, I'm assuming. But yeah, it looks like that's a link and that's a link. But these are not links. But I would assume when I press this card, I can click on it. So that's a little UX thing to pay attention to. Let's go ahead and come inside here and let me search for like H1. All right, so this is a common thing I pay attention to. You need an H1 per page, just one of them, to say what the page is about. And basically the accessibility side of stuff, and even just the way that Google crawls your page, it's looking for H1, H2s per section, H3s subdivided underneath that. It uses it as like a table of contents. So if I came over here, you want this to be an H2. It looks like it's just a paragraph. This to be an H2. These probably to be H3s, or you could just make it a list as well. These should probably be articles, just semantically, and it looks like they're divs. So just a couple HTML tag things to think about. I've got my accessibility tree enabled. If you don't have that, you can come over here and do Command Shift and P and search for accessibility in here. Accessibility, there you go, and show it over here and just enable the full accessibility tree. Now once you do that, you can click on this and it will give you an accessibility tree of your whole site. Now notice something, it just has sections but no description underneath them. So basically what this is going to do is read exactly like a div. So what you could do instead is, if you came inside here, let's grab this should be a section, and it is. So all you have to do is come in here and you can either do ARIA labeled by, and then point it to the ID of a header tag inside of here. Or the other thing you can do is ARIA label, and then just say like, this is about me or whatever. All right, so now if I came back over here, you'll see right here, I've got a section, and this section is about me. Whereas these sections are unnamed. So they're not sure what this is about, but since I put an ARIA label on here, now you've got that. So those are a couple things to think through. I mean, overall, I really like the site. I love the color scheme. I love kind of the cool movement. I've got this on the blog I'm working on right now, where it does this kind of press down. Just like I said, I probably would not do it unless it was something you would actually want to press and click. All right, next site. All right, this is Adam Johnson. Adam, great to see your site. I know I've seen you a lot on the channel and appreciate all the support and great ideas for videos as well. I like the yellow theme. It's different, but I think that stands out, and all these kind of diagonal things are cool, and because they tie in with your logo as well. So clearly you're a good designer, at least to my knowledge and what I know. I'm wondering about the accessibility of things like this right here. See how it says it's okay. Okay, the blue versus that yellow, just because it looks a little hard to read to me, but it, oh, you know what? It's just showing me that it's keyboard focusable. How do I see? I don't remember how I see. Let's see. VSBug. Isn't there an extension like this? I thought I had installed this. So let me install this and I'll be right back. All right, so I installed an extension called VSBug, and I'm going to click it right here. And then if I come over here, this should give me some readouts. Let's see, I can't remember what this is. I think accessibility right here. So it says this is fine. Okay, shows you what I know. Okay, so good to know. This is a really cool extension for debugging thing. It's by Adam Argyle of the Google Chrome dev team. I forget what his role is, but anyhow, so this is another quick way to kind of see some accessibility stuff, especially with colors and stuff like that. Let's kill this if I can. Let's see, I forget how I do that. Maybe just like that. Okay. And now, oh, look at that. He's even got a skip to main content button. This is something I need to add to my site. So typically there's actually a hidden button on most like professional sites where if you hit tab when you first enter the page, you can click enter on that and it will drop you to the main content of the page. So you can skip all the navigation if you're using accessibility. So like an accessibility screen reader or something like that. Let's see. You can also tab to these. You've got great callouts on the focus states, even though they're not the default. So that's my preference too, is to do kind of my own thing. So you jump past all of this. Let's also check that same accessibility tree right here. So you've got the heading about, this main region is code. Now I wonder how this region is being defined. I'm wondering if you did a role of region on those, which I think is also another way you can do that. Let's check. Let's check here, click here, section ARIA labeled by. Okay, so I think what you're doing is using the ARIA labeled by and you're pointing to an ID in here somewhere, right here, yeah. So it's calling it a region and declaring it with code right here. So this is being applied to the section, and that's the other way of doing what I just showed a second ago. I'm actually not sure which one is better. I read the ARIA docs or whatever, and they mentioned the ARIA label as an option and this as an option. So that's been a little bit of time since I've looked at it. So if you know, let me know, but that's great. Also, you see here, he's got figure with fig caption as well, but it looks like, yeah, right here. So even right here, as you come up this way, all this is, he's using a fig caption for all this right here. And then this is this block quote. So this is the right way to do this as well. So a lot of little small details like that, just you speak well for you, Adam. Let's see, let's also come in here and just look at those basic H1s. He's got one H1, that's what you should have. H2s, he's got 7 of those per section. And you can look, if I click through these, how they go to each section. So great job, Adam. I don't know that I have a lot to say. Sorry I can't be more help to you, but yeah, so it looks like you can refresh new quotes randomly. Nice. All right, well, great job, Adam. Let's go to the next site. All right, here's James. James is another one I see on the channel a lot, so I figured I would look at your site as well. Welcome. Goodness, James, I can only speak English, so great job. Look at this aspiration. That's what I want to see right there. 2030, he's already got plans. So let's see. Overall, I mean, I like the basic design. It's simple, but I think that stands well for yourself, assuming that you know, all these things are clickable. You can go inside here. I wonder if there'd be a way to like create a little filter up here or something where you can click like development and just see all those. Let's come inside here though, and this should probably, each of these should probably be articles, and they are, so that's awesome. Way to use the right tag. Now I see an H5 here. That makes me a little nervous, Dante. All right, let's check to see H2. You got some of those, but they're all inside of SVGs except for that one. So H3, H1, let's do an H1 tag like that. Okay, so you do have one H1 tag, and it's right there. That's fine. That's what it should be. Let's check your H2s, though. So I'm guessing that you're using styling. Well, you're not, because you're using Tailwind, it looks like. So I was going to say maybe you're using these like tags as styling, which is common for people to do, but you're actually applying your own styles right here. So this should probably be an H2. Well, I'm guessing, yeah, you're dividing these by sections. These should be articles. Probably, I'm guessing I would make these H3s inside here with an anchor link inside of that. So another small thing to kind of pay attention to. Let's look at some basic SEO, I guess, as well. So one thing you want to do is obviously have your basic meta tags, and you've got those. Title, description, you've got a canonical URL, that's good. Open graph images, all that's great. The Twitter as well. Now, one thing you'll also want to do, if you can, is to have what's called a JSON LD. Let me just search for JSON, and I don't see anything there. So JSON LD, this is what it is. So it links data, and it's especially helpful for crawlers. So let's see, launch the JSON LD playground. Let's see this. All right, so, you're supposed to enter your stuff here. But basically, if you have like a person, or if your page is about an event or a place or a product or a recipe or a library or any of these kinds of things, there's actually structured data that can be passed on to Google and others as they crawl your pages, so they can see exactly what's on there. So if you have an event, it would be helpful to give it like the value of the time, or the type of event it is, or the name of the event, the location in this case. So all these are super helpful, and that's a great thing to add to your site. I've yet to add that right now to my blog, but hopefully by the time this video goes live, you will be able to see that. All right, so great job, Dante. That's just maybe one thing to think about with SEO. Let's go to the next one. CGV. All right, now I like this as a basic like movement myself, but not everyone will. So now I want to see what happens if when I load your site without that accessibility, or with like a custom accessibility thing, to see how you handle it. So if I do reduce motion like this, and then I refresh, looks like I still get the exact same thing. So if I come down here and I scroll, yeah, I'm still getting all the same movement. So that's one thing to pay attention to. It's totally fine to have these kinds of animations. Just make sure that if somebody doesn't want to see them, that they don't see them. That is important. Looks like you're using Nuxt, which I do not know anything about, so I don't have a whole lot to say about that. All right, let me scroll down here. I mean, I like these little call outs. Let me also tab through your site and just kind of see what happens here. So you get all these, view all, get in touch. What happens at the very top? Okay, so it does look like it comes up here. Now that is something to pay attention to here. Like, this is really hard to see. So you could do it a couple different ways. You could have like a faded gradient here that just follows along with it underneath all this. And that way, no matter where you're at in the site, you could see that. You could change the color based on what it's like over. And I think you could do that. Maybe not. Let's try. I think you could do that with a mix blend mode. And maybe it's like overlay or something, I think. Let's try this. See what happens when I scroll down. No, nothing. Okay. Well, that may be just because it's a link and it's like inheriting this other thing. I'm not really sure. Or maybe you got to get rid of this color. No. All right. Well, I think there is a way you can do that, but off the top of my head, that's not working for some reason. So that's one thing to pay attention to. So whenever you have these moving things, that's great. Just make sure you have a way to turn it off. And then you've got this kind of banner section that is hard to see when you get over those sections. But I mean, it clearly looks like you've done a lot of cool stuff. I like this cursor thing, this kind of blur effect too, that's capped to the actual thing. I love that. And I want to work that into a site myself. So I might come back and look at how you did that. Because I've always wanted to do that, just haven't gotten around to ever doing it. I'm not like a huge fan of the custom cursors, but it's not like it's a problem, and it's very clear what you're going to do. So nice call out. Okay, next site. All right, so another one with lots of movement. Let's see what happens if I come over here, and if I search for, what do we call that? Reduce motion right there. And nothing is reduced. So if you're going to have this much motion, make sure you have a way for them to reduce it, because I like motion and this might be a little bit too much for me. So that's one thing to think about here. It looks like this background interacts with you. That's cool. All right. Again, just make sure there's a way to turn it off. If I come and I tab through stuff, whoa, I skip past everything. I come down here. So just note that if somebody's tabbing through your site, they're not going to get, it looks like any of, like these are focused, I guess, but I can't see them anywhere. You can see it's changing down this way, but I'm not getting any of this up here. I like the scroll bar in that it's a gradient too. That's cool. The other thing I would do is, like, I like motion, like I mentioned, but if you're going to have this much motion, number one, make sure they can turn it off. And number two, like, I don't need to see this every single time I scroll up and down your page. If I was trying to hire you and I did this, I would do it once, and then I would say, I can't look at this site anymore because it keeps moving constantly on me. So that's just me. And I genuinely like motion most of the time. So that's something to pay attention to. It doesn't need to animate multiple times. Just do an intersection observer and make sure you unobserve once it has actually moved or done the class or whatever however you styled this kind of stuff. So I like this, that you can jump inside here. Code demo, that's cool. Technologies you use as well. see, resume contact. So the other thing I mentioned is when you're tabbing through these right now. So if I come over here and you're tabbing through this, if I come over here and I focus on this, so let's see, if I focus, nothing changes, and it should. I should have some kind of indication like that I've actually focused. Whereas if instead I hover, let's see, I thought that should work. Maybe you have the hover on here. Yeah, you have the hover on there. Okay, that's fine. But the focus should be on this. And when I come in here and I focus, it should show me something. It looks like you've maybe just gotten rid of those. See, focus, you have to have gotten rid of it somewhere. I don't see it right now, but I'm guessing focus, outline, outline none. All right, there we go. All right, I don't know where that was on. Oh, it looks like it's on here. Now you add your own custom ones here, which that's good. But I don't know. Somehow you disabled those. So that's something to think about. Overall, though, I mean, it looks like you've done some really cool projects. You've done some back-end stuff, some front-end stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. React.js, React. So mostly React Dev, it looks like. JavaScript weather app. Let's demo it. Enter location, England. Hey, nice. Hey, I like that. Okay, cool. Let's go to the next one. All right, another one with some motion and lots of skills here. Lots of back-end stuff and front-end stuff. Now, this is a really nice touch, this custom highlighting. I forget what this is called, accent color. But notice that it becomes very hard to see that text color right there. So, in fact, if I come back up here, if I can, let's see, and look at this VizBuzz thing, and VizBug, I think is what it's called. You can see that's not compliant at all. So just make sure that when you're selecting or adding the selection here, that you're also going to change around the actual text color itself. Whereas right now, you're just applying the background. What is that thing called? I think it's called like selection. That's got to be right. Selection. You just must have done it maybe here. Selection. Maybe you did it on each individual text node. But anyhow, it's the colon selection like that. And then you can apply stuff. So just make sure that you're also changing the color in that same selector rather than just applying a background. All right, let's get rid of this thing if I can, or at least have it stop clicking stuff. All right, over here. So let's also tab through your site. So again, lots and lots of motion. Let's check to see if that reduces it all. Whoa, got all kinds of stuff in the console. Okay, look at this. Anything interesting in here? No, just looks like some leftover console logs somewhere from probably a network request. Let's see what's going on over here. This might be another thing to think about here is like I'm on a decent connection, but you're pulling in a bunch of PNGs. And even though they're cached, if I do a hard refresh, oh, it's still doing that. All right, let's disable the cache. Take that. But if I come over here and I do like slow 3G and I try to refresh, you can see how like these are just pretty big images and they're going to take a really long time. Like, yeah, that's let's see, 182. Look how long this is waiting just to download this. It still hasn't finished yet. So it says it's only 182, but on a slow 3G, you can see how quickly that, is just way too big. So have this being an AVIF or something like that, or a WebP, or just using like Cloudinary or something like that, that will allow you to have multiple different kinds depending on the person visiting. That's another thing to think about. I'll remove it and refresh it. This is another one. It looks like that if I come back up here, yeah, it reanimates. I don't need it to reanimate every time. I mean, you're clearly a skilled dev, creating a next chat app and like a full stack pizza shop. So, I mean, you're doing really cool stuff. But this animation is a little excessive, I think, personally. That's just my opinion. So I like the color scheme, though. I mean, you know me, I like a good dark purple, so I'm not going to argue with that. Like, there's a lot of little touches like this, like these animations that move that are smart. I love how these pop in. I would just leave them there. This, like, trails up as you go, which I think is a really cool... yeah, look at that. That's pretty cool. So a lot of this is super interesting. You're even talking about like how you're hosting this kind of stuff and links out to it, links to your GitHub. I love the animations on this. So a lot of really cool stuff here. I would just pay attention to some of those animations and obviously some of the other stuff we've already talked about. All right. Okay, so another big animation, which is totally fine. Let's see what happens on all these. Okay, now I'd be curious when I come over here. Let me look at the network tab and let's go back to home. Oops, let's come over here. Let's hard refresh home. Is everything already in or is it still coming in? Okay, so yeah, it looks like 2 seconds. It's trying. So I'm guessing this is just a React app, it looks like. So it doesn't have to load anything, or at least not much. So I'm thinking the animation is more just for kicks. It's not to actually hide any kind of loading states. So I think personally, I would do that the first time, and then after that, just make it snappy because now it just feels slow, even though I don't think it's slow. I kind of like this. This is cool. I wonder how this works on mobile. Let's open this up. Okay, so you've got a little mobile nav. That's pretty cool. Again, just like how slow this is, it definitely feels like the site is slow, even though I don't think it is. So that's something to pay attention to, is just from a UX standpoint. Let's also come in here and just look at some basic, yeah. So it looks like you've got no real meta tags, so that's something to worry. I mean, you've got description and title, but that's about it. So that's something to pay attention to. It looks like you've declared this ahead of time. This is a smart way to do this because it loads it early. I don't know if Next does this or Chrome extension. Is this something my extension is doing? I'm not sure what you're pulling in from here. That's interesting. Okay, well, unless that's me somehow. I don't think it is, but anyhow, that's something to think about. Let's look at your accessibility tree. So it looks like you've got no sections at all, just individual links. So I would group these in some ways under sections like we talked about earlier. But anyhow, it looks like a single page app. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it looks like a single page app. I'm guessing you're using some kind of routing like React Router or something. But those are a couple things to think about. I mean, I like the layout overall. I like these kind of boxed areas. It's clear what each section does. I like the mobile nav switches. That's a really nice touch. But I'd pay attention to the length and kind of styling of those movements. All right, couple more. This one's a fairly basic one, but I wanted to include it just to say, like, you don't have to have an amazing portfolio to have something that's clean and clear. So you can see here, you know exactly who this person is, what they do, that they're open. Like, this is perfect right here. Let's kind of tab around though. So you do have the default tab styling, which that's fine. You can view each of these. Let's check what these, like the H1 status, all that kind of stuff is here. So let's jump into the accessibility tree. Looks like, again, you just got kind of random links. So I would group these in some kind of way. These are just an empty paragraph down here. So these links down here, I'd probably put these in like a secondary nav and then label that nav. And you've got here links here too. This is your primary nav. So if you have two navs, you do actually want to label them. So you'd come in here and do an ARIA label. So let's do this. Edit as HTML. And I'll come in here and do an ARIA label, and we'll call this like primary nav or something like that. And maybe you don't have to put nav, that might be a little excessive, but down here I would also come in here and change this to a nav here, and then I would do the same thing. So let's see right here, ARIA label, like social links or something like that. Okay, so now when I come in here to the accessibility tree, I should have two different navs. So this is my primary nav, and if I'm using a screen reader, this is really clear what this is. Down here, these are social links, and this is a navigation menu as well. So that's something you can do if you have multiple different navs that may be worth paying attention to. Let's also come in here and look at, right here. Let's look at your H1 status. You got two H1s. Oh no, you don't. You had one that was commented out. All right, so one H1. Let's see, only one H2, which is probably this latest article. That's probably fine. Let's see, are those ones H3s though? Yeah, they are. Okay, so this is the right way to do this. So now if I'm scanning this, which I should have seen in the accessibility tree, but like if I'm Google even scanning this, this is what the page is about. This is the secondary section. These are the individual items within this. So great job there. All right, let's go on to the final one just so that the video doesn't get too long. And I had to include this because I thought it was awesome. I know that it looks like he's got more left to do, or she's got more left to do. Oh, he has got more left to do. But I mean, come on, right? This is what I should have done with my blog. Goodness. So you see all these kind of custom animations. Let's see, all this. It looks like he hadn't quite finished this yet. So none of this works yet. But, you know, I love the creativity here. A little modal that opens up. Does this expand? Yes, it does. What does this do? Just gets rid of it. Same thing as that. Okay, that's fine. Projects, look at this. I mean, this is what you can do. This is obviously probably took them quite a while. Custom cursors everywhere, custom animations. Now, the hard thing here, let's see, can you play this? Oh, cool. Look at that. You can play it. Can you get rid of this stuff? I'm not sure why these are out of the wrong order, but that's okay. So you can get creative with this kind of stuff. The hard thing here is that you have some accessibility struggles a lot of the times, and that's what I've been running into is trying to make kind of custom UIs. You really have to pay attention to accessibility, and I am certainly no expert. Let me open this up and let's check out some of those other things we've been looking at already since we've been kind of paying attention to them. So in H1, there is no H1, H2, there is no H2, H3. So it's just hard because you're like, what do I name these things? So these should probably be H2s or probably H2s, I would guess. Or you could have them as list links, and maybe the section itself would have like a hidden H2. So that might be something to pay attention to. But this should probably be your H1. If you can dismiss it, what does that do? All these kinds of things majorly affect accessibility and everything else. So it looks like you've got trying to track me over here. All right, folder component is rendering. So it looks like you're using React. But anyhow, so that's one thing you have to pay attention to, and that's what I've been running into a lot. It's just a lot of small custom use cases. Looks like you're using a stock photo here, so that might be another thing to pay attention to. I do really like this. That's pretty cool. I'm going to steal this and put this on my blog. So that's a great idea. But anyhow, that's something to pay attention to. Search modal is under development. Okay, no worries. But I thought I'd end with this one since it's the most similar to my blog. Now, like I mentioned in the intro, if you want to play around with my blog and test it out for me, let me know. There'll be a link in the description to where it currently stands. And once I get this published, I'll just swap that out for my current blog. But thanks so much for watching. I hope this was helpful in some way. I always like doing this because it just helps me pay attention to a few things. Like as I'm thinking, I don't think I have an H1 on my home screen yet. So I need to have that somewhere that's, accessible. So anyhow, that's one thing I need to think about. There are a lot of other little use cases that I still need to add to my blog that these sites gave me some insight into. So thanks so much for submitting it. If I didn't get to yours, no worries. Thank you for everyone who sent theirs in. I hope this was helpful once again, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Happy coding.